Brendan Fraser is back. No, not for the mummy, but for this sweet, heartwarming, challenging, absolute gem of a film called Rental Family. Let's get into it. So the film Rental Family is directed by Hikaru, who is somebody that you may know from Netflix's popular TV series called Beef, starring Stephen Yeun, now directing this feature called Rental Family. It stars Brendan Fraser. Philip Vanderberg is his character name, or as they say, token white guy. It also stars Takahiro Hira as Senji, who runs the Rental Family company. He is somebody that you may recognize from shows like Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. He was also in Shogun, so not bad resume there. It also stars Mari Yamamoto, who is also in Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, and very good all-round cast. It's very much a Japanese film and showcases Japanese culture. So the story centers around Philip, which is Brendan Fraser's character, who has been living at this point in the story in Japan for 7 years. Essentially, after having an opportunity 7 years ago to come to Japan as an actor for like a big national commercial that has come his way. And so he did the commercial and become sort of cult hero sort of around Japan at that time. And then over the years, as time goes on, he sort of stayed in Japan. He became accustomed to it a little bit. He learnt the language, and then all of a sudden, like the jobs just came less and less. And so his career sort of took a downward dive as an actor. So he's been sort of quietly living in Japan all these years. When we see him in our story, it's 7 years later from this national commercial that he ended up getting. And so he's struggling for work, and he's just like a jobbing actor going from next job to the next job. And he gets a call and he's like, right, you have to go down to this location at this time, let's go. And so he ends up going to this job, meets the receptionist and goes, oh, I'm Philip, I'm here for this audition. She points him into the room, and it's a funeral. Everyone's dressed in black suit, tie, and the coffin's in the middle, all these people around him. Everyone there is obviously Japanese, and you've got sort of you've got Brendan Fraser there, and seemingly seems like out of place, and wondering what's going on and if this is legitimate. And he sort of awkwardly sits there in the background, trying to figure out what's going on. And then the event ends, everyone leaves, and he just sits there and he's like, what on earth is going on? And then he walks out of the event, and the person that was in the coffin is actually alive and well. And it was basically an sort of theatre piece to try and sort of get this person to feel like there's more to live for in life. And that was the whole point of the exercise. And Brendan Fraser was very confused. It's like, what is this? What's going on? And so he meets, this is where he meets Senji, who is Takahiro's character, and he basically tells him about his company, which is a rental family. And so they get introduced, and essentially he goes to their offices and has a little interview to find out what the whole thing's about. And he basically goes into people's lives and fills in the gaps almost. And it's basically an alternative sort of therapy to therapy, because apparently in Japan, across the world, therapy is stigmatized, and so this kind of fills that void, this gap. Philip's job is essentially to interrupt these people's lives and help them, and both parties get something out of it. They both feel good about themselves. They feel less lonely. They sort of become friends almost. And he goes through various different emotions: happy, sad, everything, grief, loss, you name it. He helps people get through whatever it is that is going on in their lives, and he does a really good job. Because of his acting ability, he is able to embody various different types of characters depending on like the client's needs, which is great. So this we've got two main jobs that we see Philip go through. One job essentially is about this young single parent family trying to get her young daughter into like a big sort of well-renowned school, but because the family is incomplete, uh, Brendan Fraser, Philip, goes into this family unit and plays the role of the father. And so they need to have like stability in the family so that they can help their daughter and get her into the school. And he has to navigate these various different cultural differences in the film. The second job that he attends and works on is about this very old sort of passing old actor uh, who feels like he's been forgotten about, and so he becomes a journalist and pretends to sort of like write a piece about this legendary Japanese actor, and he plays the role and becomes a part of these people's lives, and he has to sort of navigate like when to sort of invest in their lives and also when to sort of pull back as well. And you sort of runs the risk of basically being too invested in their lives, and especially with the father daughter relationship, and it's sort of trying to find, it's a fine line finding that right balance, and that's what Brendan Fraser does so well in this. This film is truly terrific, and I very much enjoyed this film when I was watching it. It's very emotional, very challenging at times, especially like I said earlier, like how Brendan Fraser's character Philip generally sort of finds it difficult to like pull back and get invested in their lives. It's a very much a balancing act that he has to sort of like walk through, and it's really quite great because he's having to sort of work out what's going on and sort of how to appropriately approach these people, and how to becoming, because he's a Westerner, like, but very much different cultures. So there's definitely that sort of clash. Hikaru's direction is incredible, like highlights Japan in such a beautiful way that almost made me want to sort of go there. He very much has the camera at street level. He's very much there in the thick of it. And so when he wants to sort of branch out, like some of the shots of the wider shots of the country are just like absolutely stunning and beautiful. He doesn't do anything too drastic either. Some of the shots are so simple, and there's no sort of like fancy camera movements or camera shakes or steady cam rubbish. It's like just shots of Philip walking through the sort of streets of Japan. It's so great. It's so well shot and knit, and very clear sort of structure in the piece as well. So there's a great montage sequence where Philip, Brendan Fraser's character, gets a hold of like how to do the job, and you could see his progression in this montage. They don't really spend too much time on it. It's just like a quick sort of minute and a half montage where you can sort of see his progression and how well he's doing. It doesn't feel at all like it's whitewashed in any sort of way. The Japanese and Western cultures in this film blend seamlessly together, and it really sort of holds up. And I didn't feel any of that here. It didn't feel like awkward in that way at all. Brendan Fraser is very sort of got this quiet charisma and very sort of likable character that he plays in this. He doesn't overplay it. He doesn't play like the over sort of egotistical sort of actor trope. He's very sort of quiet in moments and still very subtle performance as well, which is really, really good. Is not too loud, not too brash, and yeah, that standout performer, I feel, is the older gentleman that he interacts with in one of the jobs that he has, where he plays the retired Japanese actor who feels like he's been forgotten. Their relationship is tremendous, and the comedic aspects of it are just amazing. He's dealing with somebody that is suffering with dementia and wants to go back to his sort of hometown so that he can remember like one last time and what it feels like to go back home one last time. And so it's quite heartbreaking, that storyline at times, and really sort of gets you emotionally invested in those characters as well. So yeah, it's really a great film, and I highly recommend it, especially now where it's such a, you know, IP driven industry at the minute. Like, this is a great alternative to that. And yeah, those Japanese actors are tremendous as well. These actors that I've never seen before, and they very good at switching between Japanese language as well as the English as well. So yeah, it didn't seem awkward in any single way. And on the Japanese side of things, like, I had no issues with the subtitles or anything like that. And I'm so glad that they went that direction. A lot of the times they'll dub in English, and so I had no issues reading the subtitles and anything like that. So definitely give this a watch. It is a truly wonderful film, and from what I understand, not massive budget, and it's gives you in all the feels. Yeah, like, I have welled up at a few occasions when I saw this film, and deals with some very difficult subjects of like loneliness and loss and grief and all those sorts of things. So it really gets you on all levels. So go see this film if you want an alternative to what's going on at the minute in the industry, and you won't regret it at all. It's a very, very heartwarming gem of a film. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.